Alright, because I've been sick, I've had a lot of time to think. One part moaning about being sick, one part thinking about physics, because that's what I do when I'm bored. Sorry, I'm drinking a soda right now because I need something cold for my throat. Because I'm still technically sick. Yay. The physics that I've been thinking about is 10 to the 80th power times 6 is the theoretical minimum number of universes, assuming that you're working in a 3D space and that each movement of an atom creates a new universe, which in theory it does. 10 to the 80th power is our best guess for the number of atoms in the universe, kind of. Technically speaking, there's more precise guesses, but they're also still just guesses. 6 is my cutoff point for the number of directions you can move in a 3D space. They're up, down, left, right, forward, and back. Those are the 6 theoretical ways you can move in a 3-dimensional space. Because we have to ignore diagonals, because that hits the infinity problem, and the infinity problem isn't something I want to deal with right now. I might explain it in tomorrow's video, though, because I do have to think of something. But, this is also forcing us to ignore the component of time. And of course, each of those forces you to ignore the concept of the butterfly effect, which each change makes a bigger change, which each change affects something else, which affects something bigger, which affects something bigger. We're ignoring all of those because you start hitting the infinity problem very quickly. So the math works out 6 to the 81st, no, 10 to the 80th power times 6. I'm not sure how you combine those because it's 10 followed by 80 zeros times 6. Means in theory, that's 6 with 81 zeros behind it. And that only really works because of, with tens, each time you multiply 10 by 10, you add a 0. So you very quickly hit a lot of zeros with 10 to the 80th power. And I'm not sure how to write 6 with 81 zeros behind it in exponent form. I don't remember that much high school math off the top of my head. I would need to use a calculator or something. And my calculator just gave an error symbol when I tried to do that. But for the vast majority of those, it would be impossible for you to tell if you were in your original universe or any of the other variations, unless you got absurdly unlucky and one of the atoms that was moved was one of the atoms that needs to be in place for you to be alive, of which there are fewer than you think. Because outside of the fact that atoms are mostly empty space, atoms also constantly kind of wiggle around. Well, okay, the electrons wiggle around more than anything, but so do the atoms themselves. The proton and neutron inside of it. Well, I guess the neutron doesn't move. That's kind of the entire point of a neutron. It's neutral. But since everything has a proton and an electron, they all wiggle about a little bit, pushing and pulling on itself and everything else. So if one of the very few atoms that have to be in the correct, roughly correct space for you to be alive gets moved, that would kill you, and you would obviously notice that. Kind of. It's debatable whether or not the dead can notice anything, but whatever. Sorry, if you can't tell, I just took a bunch of cough medicine and am a little out of it because I drank more than I was supposed to and I'm trying to wash the taste out of my mouth with soda. Yeah. 10 to the 8th power times 6 is the minimum number of universes when ignoring diagonals and time and the chaos effect. Thanks for listening, if anyone's even listening.